Hi everyone, welcome to our presentation. I'm Mission from Group 13 and I would like to present our group assignment which regarding medical costs. Before I start, let's have a brief introduction of our group. We form our group of leader Dinesh and followed by Edmund and Sana. Medical cost is always a common problem from the past several decades until now. The only difference is the view and action taken of the litigant. For more details, it is just a normal consumption for those people who have a better financial condition, while it could be a burden to the others. Due to this, hospitals started providing services on a prepaid basis in the 1920s, which is also when the health insurance system was established. To have a better understanding of medical costs and insurance, we found a dataset from Kaggle and doing some analysis on it. It is regarding to the personal medical costs and insurance information in United States. Also, it consists of 1,338 rows and 7 columns. Much more interesting, we hope to use the analysis output to find out the answer of these research questions. Next, I would like to pass the presentation to my teammates for the following part.
Literature review. In our report, we mainly discussed two types of papers. First, some research papers that are closely related to our research questions, and also some foundational works that were cited in these research papers. In both these categories of papers, they used different types of regression models and also machine learning algorithms for the data analysis. And from their research, it can be seen that different types of attributes like gender, BMI, or smoking status does have a significant impact on a person's medical costs, which is a great indicator that we can use different types of machine learning approaches to figure out the specific research questions that we are aiming to find out in this report. That is all for literature review. Thank you.
I'm Edmund and I'll be presenting data and methods. For our data, we got the dataset from a website called Kaggle. The dataset contains 7 columns and 1,338 rows. The attributes of the 7 columns are age, sex, BMI, children, smoker, region, and charges as shown in the first picture. The first 2 attributes are common, whereas the last 4 refers to a person's body mass index, how many children do they have, whether they have any smoking habits. Region refers to US location, which the dataset is based on, and the charges are the individual medical costs billed by health insurance. The second picture shows the statistical analysis of the dataset, which contains attributes such as the mean, the count, the standard deviation, the minimum and maximum value, and the quartile value. For our methods, we'll be using 5 to analyze our dataset, which is linear regression, decision tree regression, random forest regression, ridge regression, and lasso regression. These are example diagrams to show how these methods will look like.
Okay, so now we are going to look at the results and the discussions that we did based on our data set. So first of all, we did the Pearson's correlation coefficient method. From that, we got all the coefficients from the variables that are available in our dataset. From that result, we built the correlation heat map. This correlation heat map shows all the correlations between the variables that are present in our data. As you can see, this heat map shows the correlation values of all the variables, which is the charges, children, BMI, and age that is available in our data sets. So based on this heat map, we can figure out which variable has the highest correlation to our target variable, which is the charges. Next, using the correlation values that we got from the heat map, we start to build the predictive model. So in our predictive model, we decided to build 5 different types of predictive models. The first one is linear regression. Second one is decision tree regressor. Third one, random forest regressor, and rich, and finally lasso. So this is the code that is used to build all the 5 different types of predictive models. Next, finally, we did the comparison of all the predictive models results. This is to compare and observe that which predictive model produce a much efficient and better results. So we took the results of all the R-square scores of all the predictive models and we visualized it in a bar graph. As you can see, the bar graph shows the R-squared values of all the 5 predictive models for 5-fold cross validations. From this bar graph, we can see that the random forest regressor model shows the highest amount of R2 square. This shows that the random forest regressor model has much more better results and much more better accuracy compared to all the other predictive models that we use in our model. So that's all for results and discussions for our model. We moving on. Okay, next up, we are going to look at the limitations and the future study. So first of all, limitations. As we are using linear regression as our main predictive model, there are a few limitations that come with that. The first one is the linear regression model relies on dependent and independent variable to create a line between them. This approach is flawed and not always accurate. This is because linear regressions only look at the linear relationship between the variables, which is a straight line. If the variables does not have a linear relationship, the results of that model will not be 100% accurate and will be less accurate. Next up, it does not only adequately describe connections between variables. And then finally, it only makes the assumption that the data used is independent. So for future study, using the same linear regression model, similar to how the mean does not adequately describe single variable, linear regression does not adequately describe connections between variables. To solve this issue, we ask our statistical software to influence the statistics. So rather than only relying on the mean values of the variable to build the predictive model, we can use the statistical analysis such as the quartiles, the standard deviation, and as many others. So we can build a much more accurate and efficient or better model. Lastly, multi-level models are one of the solutions when the data is independent. So when the variable or the data that we are dealing with is not dependent, we can use multi-level models to solve that issue. So that's all for the limitations and future study. We move on to the conclusions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tinesh. To conclude the project, let's refer to the research questions that we mentioned before. From the analysis output, 79.5% of insurance contractors are smokers, while 30.5% are non-smokers. In short, more insurance contractors are smokers. Secondly, we can realize that BMI value is affecting the medical charge by observing the heat map. Also, the index for gender of insurance contractor are close, which is 49.5 for female and 50.5% for males. As a conclusion, the insurance company can create some insurance plans that are more beneficial to their customer, meanwhile with some higher charges to reach a win-win situation for both the insurance company as well as the customer. That's all for our group presentation. Thank you.